Council that if you look north towards all the big box development, because there's two parts of fair taxation. One is getting your fiscal house in order. For many years, the city of Oshawa was not charging development charges for big box development. And as a result, you, the taxpayer, were paying for all of the services that were required to really support that big box development and the massive expansion rights that were given over at Oshawa Centre. That was corrected, and I'm pleased to see, and as a result, we brought in millions of dollars of revenue that's helped build the tax base and not the tax burden. When you ask, when business does not pay its way, especially big business, big box business, which are what we call category killers in the retail world, it's not fair to residential property taxpayers. Secondly, what we also have to do is recognize that Oshawa is about one of 3 municipalities in Ontario as an old industrial city that has lost large industrial taxpayers. With factories closing, those taxes are cancelled. They're in fact shifted to the residential property taxpayer, and that's been further compounded with Harris's legislation, in which there's capping at the commercial level. Thank you.
Yes, it's amazing that Louise here talks about fair taxation right on her side. It's fair taxation. I don't know what that means to her, but she did take a 54% salary increase in the first 3 years of this term, so perhaps that's what it means. She maxed out her expense budgets. She's the highest spending person outside the mayor on city council for her tax, expenses. She argued for an increased office budget to cover her travel expenses, her cell phone bill. I'm sorry, I'm answering the question. Maybe if you don't like the way I answer it, then you're not going to vote for me, but I think the people deserve the truth. Louise Park's cell phone bill was $23 less than a total of 8 of her fellow councillors. Is this fair taxation? Is this what she means? When the question of commercial industrial development came up, how she would attract it, she said she's going to have to strike the mayor's council, when the real answer is to reduce the highest industrial commercial tax rate in the whole GTA. That's the real answer. That's the core answer. And until you do that, you're not going to do anything about attracting business to the city.
Yes, all of them do have fair taxation. But what about fair representation? What about every time they raise the tax, they took something away from you? Well, they gave away the buses. Now roads are being cut. People who need the buses to travel and that can't get places. And if you want to add to the bus route, now you have to go to region and sit down and listen to all the councillors go on and on and on. Oshawa is a high priority. Every time you raise the taxes, you better make sure, damn sure, excuse the language, that there's something there for the people. You cannot cut it away from them anymore. I've seen it done too many times. We gave our roads to the region, now they're falling in disrepair. So it's not just about taxation, but it's also about representation. And a lot of them keep raising the taxes, saying how good they're doing for the city, but yet taxes went up, the train didn't go through downtown anymore. They decided to cut it short. How can you fix the downtown if you're not willing to do business yourself downtown? We had New Year's parties down there. I asked the mayor, and the mayor said it costs too much to represent at the General Motors Center. So to me, it's not just about taxation, but it's fair representation for every dollar they spend of yours. Thank you.
John, you've heard the stories about the times of zero taxation where members of council trumpeted the fact that there was no increases. And then you watch the blame, which is usually what happens, is the blame gets passed on to a previous administration, and then the next administration says, they were there, but oh no, it wasn't us. And then went out on a spending spree that is just shocking. They took the city's debt in 2001. By the time the election 2006, the debt had gone to $103 million. They had taken $23 million out of the PUC. They had uploaded transit to the region, taken the $5 million that they saved, spent it, missed the unfunded liability related to transit, and the end result is your carrying charges this year are about 10% of the dollars that you pay to the city go to servicing the debt. You've got a building downtown that was voted by and built by people on this stage, 3 of them, I wasn't there, that is going to lose $4.5 million this year. That $4.5 million is equivalent to the wages of 2 fire halls or paving, redoing 40 kilometers of roads in this city. It's about managing money better, and it's about wiser spending.
Thank you very much. As the previous speaker mentioned, development charges, we weren't collecting development charges. In 2004, when I became mayor, we as a council opened up the development charge and started to charge it. So as the development comes to the city, and there's a lot of development, by the way, it's paying its fair share. So we did that. It's also interesting to note that this sudden conversion to taxation, and yet nobody here has voted against the budget. You know, I know how we have gone through that budget year over year and, culled through to make sure that we trim the fat from that budget. Some call it the spending spree. I call it an investment spree, ladies and gentlemen. And that investment spree is paying us dividends. It's helped to spark further growth. Property values go up. That adds to the taxation base as well. And so you can't just arbitrarily say it's 10%. Because you've got to factor in some of these other economic development factors to help to improve our situation here in Oshawa. We can now be proud of our facilities. We should never ever have to hang in shame that we didn't have the facilities for our children. And it's being paid back. It will be paid off in 16 years, and we will have that for the future, ladies and gentlemen.
I think fair taxation boils down to something that I mentioned in my opening statements, that expenditures must demonstrate real value. And that means that they have to demonstrate real value to most of the citizens of Oshawa. Of course, we collect taxes to redistribute them, but I think that we have to get back to core responsibilities. And core responsibilities are something like roads. And I think there's a lot of complaint out there about roads just not being looked after properly. That is definitely a core responsibility of the municipality that's after. We've been having a lot of facilities built with no business plans, and then we turn around and find out that business plans are something that is going to definitely add to the tax dollar because the operating costs are not going to be fixed by the user fees that are collected. If we don't have user fees to pay for things, then it's going to add to our operating costs, which adds to your tax bill. For a while, we had the newest rate being 25 years old. We had to renew those facilities. But once we've achieved that, then we have to stop. We have to stop adding to the operating costs and stop increasing the money that we're spending. Get back to core responsibilities. Let's not build luxurious facilities anymore that add to the operating costs.